Hi, I'm Amelia.
And I'm Matt, and this is Be More Picard, the YouTube show where we seek out new ways to better ourselves by boldly talking about Star Trek.
And we know that when it comes to all things TNG, that Captain Picard is the most adulty adult that we can possibly find.
However, if we're looking for the ultimate Enterprise MVP, then it can only be Lieutenant Commander Data.
And like we've done with the other characters, including Picard, we know that nobody is perfect, and Data is no different. So let's get started on the 5 ways that we don't want to be more Data. So grab yourself a cup of Earl Grey and let's engage. He's interested in and he wants the small talk. Isn't it every introvert's living nightmare being stuck in a situation where you can't escape with someone else chatting on about the weather, mating calls of obscure birds, here's looking at you, Hutch, and while you juggle your canapes and tiny glass of booze, the label on your back of the sweater itches and it's 5 degrees too warm. Too much from personal experience here? I mean, in reality, there is nothing wrong with small talk. Not everybody is emotionally able to discuss life, philosophy, and quantum mechanics at a moment's notice with someone that they've just met, or with someone who you're only going to spend a minute in a turbo lift with. Okay, so maybe this one is totally subjective, as we both think that small talk is a necessary evil, but Data is fascinated with and is willing to jump in with both feet.
When they go low. It's not as if it's a matter of principle to take the higher ground. He just always rises above it all and shows no ill will towards anyone who does him any wrong. He's gracious in the face of some pretty objectionable directives, whether it's the Commander Maddox trying to play Operation with his Protoctronic Whatsits in Measure of a Man, or Starfleet wanting to remove Lal from his care in The Offspring. Nobody would hold it against him if he threw at least a sour look someone's way once in a while, but petty isn't in his DNA. Of course, being petty as a character trait or doing it all the time isn't a good thing, but it acts as a signal that there might be something deeper going on. The difference between our feelings and what we know to be rational can be a huge conflict, and we don't really see this explored in The Next Generation. Now, we think that it might have been pretty cool to actually take a look into this, especially as Data is trying to access his emotions, both the good and the bad.
There is no android, only human. His desire to experience the human and emotional sometimes overrides all common sense when it comes to Data. Humans are flawed, and what's on their face is not always what's in their heart. And this is something that Data never really seems to get his neural networks around. You only have to watch them play a game of poker, right?
He's just as curious as his cat Spot. Data is incredibly inquisitive, so much so that he gets himself a cat and looks after it, and it's a wonderful quality to have, but it has to be tempered and, like the cat, prioritised accordingly. We see this particularly in Elementary Dear Data, where he continues to push the boundaries of his capabilities, which nearly results in the holographic villain Moriarty about to take over the ship. Data isn't blessed with the 9 lives that Spot has, and neither of the rest of the crew, so sometimes his curiosity can actually take things a little bit too far.
With great power. We often look at Data and think that there's nothing that he can't do. He's physically strong, mentally disciplined, and presents as incredibly emotionally stable. And right now, I want to be more Data. However, there is a big but coming on here. It's not about his innocence or his lack of intuition that's the failing here. It's about assessing how to apply his great power and skills at the right level of intensity. So one really great example of this is cause and effect. And now granted, how was he supposed to know that they were stuck in a time loop? But there's something about the additional context and that perhaps Riker that had meant that his solution was the right tool for the job.
So there we have it. There are 5 reasons that we don't want to be more Data. Now, do you agree with us? Do you disagree? Is there anything else that you can think of? Please let us know down in the comments, because we know that some of these are going to be a little bit controversial because Data is everybody's favourite android.
But we do think that Captain Picard would agree with some of these, though.
Yes, he would. So if you find a way to be more Picard
or Data, make it so.